Hello. We have another very simple make today. I'm making Christmas cards and I have cut some cardstock. I'm using red, any colour would work. And this has been cut to the size of my backgrounds. So I can't give you the measurements because it will depend on your printer. I've just used my trimmer to cut a border of about quarter of an inch all the way round, and that will become clear in a little while. I have a new kit out. It's called Winter Birds. I'm going to be using that, but stick around. There is a coordinating freebie that I'll be using later in the video. It all matches and it's going to work lovely together and we can make some fabulous Christmas cards. So as well as prepping the cardstock, I also found these little wooden pieces that I really wanted to use up. I had some snowflakes and some stars. So I use my little embossing dauber and my tweezers. Something rather funny happens with this later on, so do stay tuned for that. I'll just add the embossing liquid, and the first one I was actually out of frame, so I did a second one. So I'm just going to add the liquid to that, holding it with my tweezers, which are now very messy. These are my messy tweezers. I have a lovely, nice pair of tweezers, but these are my messy tweezers. So I'm just going to pull in a piece of folded paper and I'm going to grab an embossing powder, and I think I used something called Stardust. It's fairly transparent, probably wasn't the best embossing powder to use for this, but I'm going to sprinkle that over my star. Just pick that up with my tweezers and shake off the excess, and then I'm going to pop it on a tissue because that can now just sit until I'm ready to heat emboss all of them at the same time. Put the powder back. I know I do contaminate mine a little bit. I'm not too precious over it. If I have a tiny bit of gold or a tiny bit of silver in another powder, I'm okay with that. And now I'm going to carry on and emboss some more wooden pieces. Once they're all done, I'm going to get the heat gun out and just heat emboss all of them in one go. So these are my finished pieces. I really liked how the white one turned out. You can't quite see the texture on there, but that was a white embossing powder and I think that was probably my favourite. The silver worked really well. I did make an awful mess. That's the silver. You can probably tell from my gloves how much mess I actually made, but I did get those embossed, probably more than I needed for this project. So next I'm going to prep some of the digital kit pieces. There are 48 pages in this kit. I printed a few of them and cut some out, not all of them. I inked around the edges of some. Now these ones I didn't ink because I'm going to mount these onto cardboard. As you can see, I've picked 4. That 5th one I didn't have space for that, so I didn't mount that piece. I'm just deciding which one to actually mount. And I do go for that beautiful white swan. So I'm going to glue all of these down onto that cardboard. Just go in with Pritt stick in the middle or glue stick in the middle, and then I use my art glitter glue around the outside, which is a combination I am quite confident with. So I'm just going to burnish that down. And now I'm going to glue all of the other pieces down also. Once they're all stuck, I'm going to use a pair of scissors. This cardboard is not too thick, so the scissors will work, and I cut all of those pieces out. And now I'm going to go back to my little dauber. I'm going to use the swan first of all, which I'm extremely glad I did this one first. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that embossing ink all of the way round the edge of that swan. I'm not too worried about getting the edge of the cardboard on this piece. The cardboard, like I said, isn't too thick. So I'm going all the way around the edge, and I'm going to use the bridal tinsel on this one. It's quite a subtle glittery embossing powder, but I do really love it. It is very beautiful, and it comes in the tiniest of tubs, as you've probably realised. So just shake off the excess, and just put that aside to dry, and you can see the little sparkle there. Now I decided to do these two with enchanted gold, which I really like, and this one goes horribly wrong. I'm really glad that I was doing a voiceover on this video, because I seriously was laughing for about half an hour after that happened. I just couldn't stop giggling. Now, more for me, I actually tried to use my finger to put the embossing liquid around the edge. What I really should have done is grab myself a brush, because I applied that way too thickly, and I actually ended up having to ditch that piece. I couldn't use it in the end. I did put it on a little bit thinner on the other bird, thankfully, and we just put that embossing powder back. This one was even better. There wasn't a lot of liquid left, so it didn't go on too thickly. Using the last of it on that paper one there, and picking up that embossing powder, and then I'm just going to heat emboss that after I cleaned up the liquid that was still on my mat. I don't know if you can see my hand shaking, I'm still giggling. Yeah, this one just didn't work. Unfortunately, the embossing liquid was way too thick. It really was too thick to use. So I'm going to have a little clear up and now talk about the freebie. So there are 5 pages of freebie. There is a background page, a page of ephemera, and there are also 3 journal pages which I thought were too good to not use. So they are in the freebie. They are on my Ko-fi. The link is in the description. So I cut those out, and this time I've got some really quite thick cardboard. It was probably too thick, but I do mount 2 of my images from the freebie on that cardboard. So I'm going to glue them down. And this time it's a little bit too thick for me to use scissors to cut this out. So I'm going to grab my cutting board, my ruler and my knife, and I'm just going to cut those up. Once that's cut up, I do use my brush this time with the leftover of that liquid. And I go round the edge of that cardboard because it is quite thick, so I did want to decorate that a little bit. Makes it a little bit problematic when I'm trying to heat emboss it. So I use what's on the paper to emboss the edge of that, because like I said, it is very thick cardboard that I've used. And the same with the other one, and then of course I have to heat emboss that. It turns out okay. It did actually run a little bit because, again, I think I'd put the liquid on too thick. That dauber is a really good tool, and without it, it's very difficult to use that liquid to the right thickness. But I'm happy with the edges and how they turned out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the freebie tag card first. So I'm just going to glue down one of the background pieces, the tag one, which matches the tag, and then I'm going to just trim those little corner edges off to make that tag shaped, and then I'm going to glue my bird onto my card. Stands up nicely, quite happy with that. I was a bit worried it was going to be too heavy. So I'm just going to choose a couple of little elements to add to the card. So I've got one of those little embossed stars, and I'm going to add Merry Christmas. There's also the word happy, so you can make a decision which one you use. I'm using Merry Christmas on this card. So just gluing things down into place. And that's my first card finished. The second card, I'm going to use the blue background with the bird on a post box. So just ink that up, glue that into place, and then glue the topper. So now I'm taking some of the pieces from the digital kit. The link is in the description box, and I'm just going to audition a few pieces, lay a few out, see what I like, and then I am going to start putting those cards together. I will put in the timestamp when I start to talk again, but for now I'm just going to put some music over the top of this. I really hope you like the 9 cards that I managed to make today. Please do go and grab that freebie from Ko-fi and make a couple of cards. The digital kit is linked in the description box. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you again really soon. Bye.